Hey folks, so we're doing a little nighttime shoot here, and I've got a couple of videos I'm going to upload maybe after I do this one, maybe tomorrow. But in a distance, and because what I'm wanting to show you is very difficult because of the distance of we can get it, and it's at a distance for a reason. I'm trying to adjust so we can maybe pull that. I just believe the distance is going to cause a problem. I think, here we go. If you'll notice, I pulled him in just a little bit. If you can see that light blinking there. Okay, that's what we call a blinking moving star, or at least that's what the Union County Sheriff's deputies informed me after making countless, I'm going to say at least between 40 and 50 phone calls, without any fear of exaggeration, to the FBI major crimes hotline, and reporting about being stalked by drones. Now, so what they would do is, now they're not approaching as close as they were during that time. Do they still do it? Certainly they do it. But you know, they're always changing their program, and to you know, the object is to conquer with absolute confusion. And of course, you hear my little dog in the background. She's putting her 2 cents worth in. Conquer with confusion. And so the FBI, you can see that blinking in the center of the screen. That's another blinking flying star. Okay. But actually what you're seeing is that's a drone. Now, I don't believe anybody's supposed to be scared of drones or anything like that. But when you're continuously followed, trust me folks, that's not an aircraft, unless it's a glider. It's flying too low and no sound, okay? So, I'll let's say this. So when I would contact the FBI, knowing that they had no intentions of doing anything about a drone, but it would be posted up real close, and then when I would I get my car, go down the road, it would follow me. Now, when it first started several years ago, they'd actually get down eye level where I would be sitting in my car, and just be kind of going up and down, a light going up and down in the middle of a cornfield that had already been plowed under. And so to make sure that I was picking up what they was putting down, prior to that, I wasn't spending any time at all looking up at the sky. Okay, I had enough problems worrying about and there you can see it blinking. I already had enough problems as the deal was, so it's continuous. And as I'm doing this, and they're aware that I'm in my yard, we can expect stalking, and so I won't say anything about the colors, patterns, or anything like that. So they're going to do what they're going to do, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So with these multiple calls to the FBI, I said, well, I'm just going to wear them out with it. I know they're not going to do anything. They said, well, you need to call your local law enforcement. And I said, I'm just about every time without miss. I said, well, they're the ones behind it. They're well aware of it. I mean, it's kind of fox guard in the hen house. Of course, at this point in the game, they're ready to get off the phone with you. I said, well, I'll call them, and we'll document it. And so I'd hang the phone up. I dial 911. I tell them what the deal was. Got a phone with the FBI hotline. Said to call them. I'm calling them. Come out here. A drone hanging around out here, lurking, on doing peeping Tom maneuvers. I just want to document it. And they came out, and so one of the first couple of times, so we should have a crisscross, perpity perp, duty wop shuffle right here. There we go. Same perps, always the same. And so I never forget one of the deputies, what his name was, it's immaterial. He's looking at it, and he obviously hadn't been filled in on the deal that I'm not, I don't do well with gaslighting. And he said, that's a star. I said, really? I said, I just look like this. I said, look at it. And I pointed at it again. He looked at it. It moved. I said, oh, it's a moving star. He didn't have nothing else to say, you know. If he could have gotten away with it, he'd have blown my brains out right then, and it just left. Because really and truly, at the end of the day, that's all they want to do. They're mad because they're having to do it the slow way. But don't think for 1 minute that that's not their intentions. I was informed after a few more calls that, you know, Mr. Moore, you just call a regular number. You don't need to call 911. I said, well, you know, I said, you know, stalking is a crime. It's federal and state crime. And it's serious. It's a felony. And so for me to call a non-emergency number, or you asking me to, it doesn't make any sense. It didn't then, but it does now. You see, you can call that non-emergency number, and those phone calls have a higher probability of not being part of public record. Not to say they're not recorded, but it's not public record whether they're recorded or not, and I'm quite sure I'd never get access to it. But I can subpoena the emergency management, their data on the phone calls. Sometimes building a case, folks, it does take time. Should it be incumbent on the victim to be their own investigator? I've got this Tom Bigby Electric Association street light here, and I've had a lot of images of this thing, strobing and everything else. Okay, it's just got a steady deal. And then I've got even more of this other light, and so remotely these street lights can be weaponized. And what does that mean? Well, when you got these flickering light, there we go. There goes a pervert racing his engine up. And so they like to harass when I get out in my yard. Well, guess what, folks? You're not gonna get me out of my yard. I'm gonna keep putting you on blast. And that was the purpose of doing this video. So when I see these drones, and they make sure that as I'm driving that they stay on my left-hand side. If anybody else has been stopped by them in vehicles, you know the routine. And they follow you. That is part of the mechanism they use to systematically torture, harass, and to keep you and to drive you to a point of self-implosion. That's the whole deal, okay? We won't talk about the capabilities of what may or may not be doing, what the drone may or may not be doing, but what I am telling you is that this surveillance that's being conducted on hundreds and thousands of innocent American citizens is not legal. It's being run, they're jumping in gray areas, working around loopholes. If this was a perfectly legitimate and legal operation, it wouldn't be a secret. It wouldn't be a secret. I mean, even there's not an American alive not aware that there is an agency called the Secret Service. That's not a secret. And so it goes on and on and on. So the reason that each county will adopt its own pet name for this nationwide program is for that reason: deception. It's all about deception. And it's about having the mind tricks of tricking your brain, because you're focused on one thing and what they're doing with the drone or whatever it is that they've got your brain triggered to, and then they'll do something else, and they've got everything they're doing is a distraction. So it's look over here while I'm doing something over there. So what are they doing over there? It's look over here while we are destroying you psychologically. We're depriving you of sleep. Discussed about this light. When I researched the research from I just had a absolute the American Journal of Medicine and Harvard Medical both did extensive published reports on the effects of these type of lights and the flickering that is not visible to the naked eye, and even with your shades closed, where the slightest bit of light can enter the room or wherever you are, that may not, now get this, may not be visible to the naked eye, but your brain is picking it up. It's there, and it's kind of like when you take a video of the old computer screens and the screen be flickering and rolling and stuff, but you see that when you're doing the video, but it only reared its head after you made the video. So that's kind of the most simple explanation I can give you. And so this sleep deprivation with these lights flickering and the drones following you, the noise campaigns, all their little shenanigans, all things work together for destruction. But God said, no weapon formed against you will prosper. That's the good news, victims. Let me tell you, no weapon, as a child of God, formed against me will prosper. Whatsoever you do, the least of these, you've done it to me. That's what Jesus said. So after 40 or 50 calls, the FBI major crimes hotline, and folks, let me tell you, this is, if this is not major crimes, I don't know what is. Torturing American citizens, systematically violating their civil and constitutional rights. You see them faintly blinking there in the background. That is a major crime. They started backing up with their drone games, especially after one night of stalking. I happened to follow one that I believe was a Halo drone, which is they can stay up. They're designed for big outdoor events and stadiums and so forth, and can stay up for hours and hours and days. They run on helium. Now some of them can only stay up for so long, they have to be refueled. This is just the halos I'm speaking of. The other ones are tethered with a line that's not much bigger than 100-pound test fishing line, I would say, maybe a little bit bigger. And it's tethered, and it feeds that halo its constant fuel, the helium, but that has to be, so it's tethered to a vehicle that's in control of this thing and can operate it, and of course reel the tether in and do that. So let's say hypothetically that's what they were working with that night, and I believe that that's what it was. I mean, when you see something that looks like a full moon, but you can throw a rock and hit it, it's not a full moon, okay? Now, sort of you tripping on LSD, it's still not a full moon, especially when you get in your car and that full moon starts moving. And so I'm hitting this drone with some different lights that I had, and using different methods of strobing lights and so forth. And I could see that the line that the thing was tethered to. I said, well, that narrows it down to where this thing could be, okay? Because you have to realize that you're not going to park one of these deals right in the middle of the woods somewhere, because you're dealing with a line and a gust of wind, anything like that. You can have some problems. So you need to be in kind of a wide open space, I would think. I don't know much about them, but I do know that. I've flown a kite before, and so this is not too far off that. Let's let these creeps get by. So I followed this thing down to what is now known as the infamous Stalking Chop Shop. So it's just right across the county line over here in Lee County. Every time I go by there, there's a different whole fleet of marked and unmarked, what appears to be law enforcement vehicles, and the ones that are marked as law enforcement. And listen, folks, I'm talking about city, police cars, county from various counties, state automobiles, and federal. Let's let this, there we go. That's called a noise campaign. This is the main reason the sheriff of Union County, Mississippi, is named not one but 2 federal lawsuits. Folks, I'm telling you, every ball that's thrown at me, I'm gonna miss some. Babe Ruth struck out more times than he ever hit. We don't remember him for that, do we? But I'm gonna still stand there, and I'm gonna keep swinging the bat. And I don't care how good the pitcher is, or how big the pitcher is, or how many government officials, how many corrupt, evil politicians, and moronic private citizens and private entities that are involved in this community holistic crimes against humanity policing program. I'm gonna keep swinging that bat, and I'm gonna keep swinging that bat, and they're gonna keep striking me out. But I'm gonna tell you what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna put the bat down. I'm not gonna say, you know what, I quit. I just can't do this. I cannot hit a ball. I'm not cut out for this. God did not give me that spirit. Because I'm gonna stand there and I'm gonna swing, and I'm gonna swing, and I'm gonna swing. And you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna hit one of those balls. And baby, when I hit it, you can best believe I'm gonna knock the cover off of it. Not only am I gonna knock the cover off of it, I'm gonna knock it out of the stadium. And I'm gonna take my lap. Then I'm gonna pick that bat up again. I'm gonna spit on my hands, and I'm gonna post up and start swinging again. And I'm gonna repeat the process, and repeat the process, and repeat the process. That's my plan. Every time I see these morons doing the stalking campaigns, their favorite deal, if they think it's cute, they always put a hearse, a black hearse in the deal. And I thought, these people obviously, we know who they're working for. It's of the devil. And as a child of God, let me tell you, I serve a risen Savior. Jesus Christ on Calvary's cross defeated death, hell, and the grave. To live is Christ, and to die is gain. I'm satisfied that when my name is called and when it's time for me to go, I'm satisfied that God will keep his end of the deal. It's a no-lose situation for a child of God. And if you think running Hearst and trying to place fear of death in somebody's mind and thereby driving them crazy, making them, when they voice their concerns to their perpetrator friends, while they sound, they're exhibiting signs of paranoia, schizophrenia, and all these bogus diagnoses. No, what you're suffering from, victim, is you haven't realized that you are surrounded by fools, by absolute criminal idiots. Folks, there's nothing genius about a diabolical criminal scheme. We don't remember Adolf Hitler and the Nazi death camps. We don't remember him and those events in awe of what a genius. No. I've just posted an article where a court has ruled that a man is 100 years old, that he was sane enough to stand trial for his role in a Nazi death camp that accounted for at least 3,500 murders of Jews. 3,500. And so let me tell you, folks, there are people that are hunting these Nazis and these Nazi sympathizers to the ends of the earth. To this day, they're still, and they won't stop until every single stone has been turned over. Let me tell you, folks, the Third Reich and Adolf Hitler set out to conquer the world. So did Alexander the Great. And the ones before, and the ones before, and the ones before. But let me tell you, history will show you one thing. It's going to change. The good news is, victims, change is coming. The bad news for these people involved, they think, well, because there's so many, and it's so legal looking and sounding and undefeatable, we're impenetrable. We're unsinkable. We're too big to fail. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. The day will come when those involved, no matter how small your involvement or how large your involvement, you're equally as culpable. There is no middle ground when it comes to crimes against humanity. In the United States of America, either you stand for one nation under God, indivisible, or you stand against it. Because this program is about division, confuse, and conquer and destroy. Who? Who is the enemy? Its own people, American citizens. 22 veterans commit suicide every single day. How many hours of film have I documented that have veteran license plates and veteran stickers and military emblems and so forth? It's beyond numbering. You mean they're feeding on their own? Absolutely. What I just told you, folks, is the unmitigated truth. And that is the definition of evil. That's like a rabid wild wolf eating its own puppies. There's no difference. I've read the back of the book. As a child of God, I already know how this deal ends. The good news is we win. We have won, and we will continue to win. When you come against a child of God, when you tell lies, gossip, slander, destroy families, reputations, jobs, when you do that, you have your hands on God's property. And if you think, for some reason, that will be allowed to go unchecked, my friend, you are sadly mistaken. Not only will it not go unchecked, you'll be checked in this life and the life hereafter. You're going to have all of eternity to be checked over and over, and it's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be pleasant. God will never, ever permit one of his, under any circumstances, under any job title, because that's what they have to do for money, or God will not permit it for any one of his to come against one of his own. He does not sanction it. Hear me clear. We got fake Christians and fake churches, but in the back room, you know what you're doing. You know the things that you're telling, and the stories and the lies and the secret. God does not operate in secrets. He doesn't operate in lies. So that brings us to the bigger question. What about these secret fraternal organizations? God's not there. They can't bring him in. He doesn't have any part of that. The Great Commission says, go into the highways, go ye therefore, to all the nations, teaching and preaching in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Ghost. That's the Great Commission. Now, you can say, pretend that you've got God in this thing and have this these cultic ritual fraternal orders like the Masons. That's not of God. You can't serve two masters. It's impossible. Jesus said, I wish that you were hot or cold, either for me or against me. Jesus says, I can deal with that, but you're neither. You're lukewarm. You're riding the fence. You're saying that I'm your Savior, but you're doing the devil's work. He says, therefore, I will spew you out of my mouth. The Hebrew translation for that is vomit. You, community policing, perverted stalker. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't believe there's a God. Well, I tell you what, you better be 100% sure about what you're believing. Because if there's any margin of error, I believe I'd question that. Oftentimes I hear people say they hate God because God did this and God did that, and there's not a God. You know, and if you'll just let them talk long enough, say, how in the world can you possibly hate someone that doesn't exist, according to you? God didn't put any problems on humanity. That is the work of the devil. My friends, that is the devil's work. The world wants to blame God when it's nature, a tornado. The insurance company is called an act of God. That's an act of the devil. You're okay talking about God, but as soon as you start talking about death, hell, and eternal damnation, people want to isolate you and put you in a far right-wing extremist wacko corner. Well, I tell you what, whatever you define me as does not matter anyway. The only thing that matters is who God says I am. What the community policing and these perverts say means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. God said no weapon formed against you will prosper. My friend, I'm telling you, I claim that every day. Every promise in that book is mine, and it can be yours as well. So when I see the drone tonight, that in Tupelo, Mississippi, and the hearse and the cars, pulling up at the gas pumps that never get gas, and you just sit there and wait, and game finally they'll pull off, never getting gas. Sometimes some of them will be able to come up with and figure out how to put gas in the car, but anyway, most times it's all theater. Well, theater's legal. Well, if it's legal, then I think sell that to some dummy. You rob a bank. Oh, we were just pretending. Well, you came in here and pointing real guns. No, they're just pretend guns. Oh, and they gave you the money. Yeah, here it is. You can have it back. You think that's going to fly? Do you really think that's going to fly? Because that's what you're thinking. These community policing people are thinking, it's just theater. Theater's legal. Listen, when you're intentionally conspiring with other people to do something systematically to someone else, it's harmless. We just drive by. That's not against the law. My friend, you are mistaken about that. You're participating in organized criminal stalking. That's what you're doing. Same way with a bank. Whether you're driving the car, the getaway car, or you're in there robbing the bank, you know what the charge is? It's the same. The driver gets the same charge as the guy in there with the gun. It's the same charge. So you're just doing your little part, and you're getting your little deal, and you're doing whatever you think you're doing. That's just your little part. It's the same charge, my friend. These people that are tried for crimes and for killing millions and millions of Jews, they're still hunting these military people. They are in hiding, and that's what cowards always do, don't they? They always hide, get up under a rock. For some reason, they don't want to be held accountable for their crimes. They're not willing to step up to the plate. They want the very thing. Adolf Hitler supposedly took his own life. Well, that was the best possible scenario for him. I think he did it 10 years too late, but at any rate, that was the best possible scenario for him. I don't have these people in this country doing that. They're going to keep digging their heels in, and they will fight to the bitter end. But let me tell you, there's victims out here that's going to be fighting too. The only difference is who is fighting with me, or who is fighting for me. And that is God, the creator of this universe. Whether you believe it or not, I will promise you, the scriptures tell us, Jesus said every knee will bow. Every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Does that mean that everybody gets a pass and everybody goes to heaven? No. Narrow and straight is the way to heaven, and broad is the way to hell, and many will enter therein. Many will enter therein. I'm afraid to tell you, folks, there are going to be more people in hell than there will be in heaven. So that's the good news. As a child of God, I'll have eternal victory and social distancing. I won't have to ever worry about some clown rolling up on me playing a game, because they will be in a place that's described by weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth. Now, these people can't get enough attention, so there we go. There's another stealth aircraft And I want to finish the story on these drones. It may have been 3 years. I don't think it's been that long, maybe 2 years. And folks, this is public information what I'm gonna give you. A news article came up about a man in Union County, Mississippi. You can put this in your search engine. Was arrested for shooting at a helicopter. This was the headline. And then they showed the man in a jail outfit and a mugshot, which none of those are that absolutely intentionally make those pictures to make you look like Charles Manson's worst nightmare. Then the article goes on to tell the story that this man had complained that the reason he shot at the helicopter, and you see we got 2 moving stars here, is he shot at the helicopter because this is an unprovable crime and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to explain to you in a minute what, yeah, you can do a lot about it. I'm fixing to bring them down to earth. I'm going to tell you how we bring it down to earth by this story I'm telling you. The man said that they had been flying over and poisoning his cattle and so forth and so on. Now, I'm reading this. I said, they're publishing this story to make this man, from the picture and the headline, so oh, this man is a maniac out there shooting at helicopters at night. Now, I don't know. I'm thinking, I wonder how that helicopter knew where the gunfire was coming from. What was he had been flying real low to be able to pinpoint that. How did that helicopter have all that information on this man? I don't know the story. We probably won't ever get that story. But I'm going to tell you this, folks. It's the story they're not telling you. I'm making sure we get the drone perverts out here. They just love it. You got these grapey co-drinking ass clowns. And so I forwarded the article to a couple of journalists. And I don't know what we've had discussions since then. There's a lot of people aware of it that I don't believe Union County is aware of it. So who knows what the outcome was. So let's read between the lines here. I'm going to tell you what happened, and I hadn't read anything about this case other than what they attempted to do on their smear tactic of making this news story, breaking news story, man shooting a helicopter. Last week, I've got ahead of me here a drone that's posted up for hours, blinking, moving, back and forth, back and forth. And then I'm documenting this, by the way. And then you know what? The light goes out on the drone. The next thing I see is a very, very, very low flying aircraft coming from that same direction with bright lights, like it's close enough to land on my property. It's obvious that this is not a drone, but an aircraft. And it's flying directly, as soon as the drone light goes out, then this thing appears out of nowhere, really low, and it's a real aircraft, not an unmanned drone. I said, this is not the first time that's happened. I said, oh, I've got it. So what you're doing is we'll take everything else out of consideration that's been happening with my security systems getting jammed, the Wi-Fi getting jammed, and the connections and so forth at the same time that Union County Sheriff's deputies pull up. We're going to forget all that stuff and how they do it and all that. This is one of their bait and switch tricks. So I'm telling you, the man that was shooting the helicopters, or shooting at them, did he have a fair trial, or did he have a trial? Did he plea out? Did his lawyer sell him out? Well, folks, I'm telling you, chances are probably yes on every bit of that. Okay? This is Big Brother. Now, if an attorney wants to fight them like that, a local attorney, he just might as well cash that last check and go to the house, because that's a wrap. That's how they work. So I said, that's what they're doing. I said, they keep harassing with a drone, and then they'll fly a real aircraft with a human being in it to try to draw me out to do something illegal towards that aircraft. And then, what's the headline? He's going to show me I'll be in the same deal. Finally, I can see the headline now. Finally, the maniac from Alpine was arrested for shooting at a helicopter. Okay? So I want to beat him to the punch. Y'all are not going to get that privilege. Y'all get that privilege, because what I'm doing is I'm exposing your little trick. Now, what I just described to you, is that legal? Absolutely not. U.S. Title 18, Section 242, crimes committed under color of law, is just one of many. One of many. One of many. And folks, we're talking about years in prison. And this, under color of law, who does that include? This includes people that are elected officials, people that are in positions of power, whether it be a fire chief, a police chief, a deputy sheriff, an attorney, a judge. It is a very broad law, okay? So I challenge you to research that particular code, and you'll kind of pick up what I'm putting down. So how can you prove that? Well, I just gave you the case. One incident where this happened in Union County. A man was shooting a helicopter. I think with a little more due diligence and a little more investigation on that, coupled with the footage that I have of the bait and switch with the drone and the low-flying aircraft, and there goes an aircraft right there, folks. And all right, you could hear the engine. The other ones you couldn't hear anything. You can hear planes, especially when you can read the numbers on the side of them. Okay, I mean, this is okay. That's not, so anyway, I've said enough about these the drones. So that's the intention. So for those that are targeted, understand that this is one of the main goals is with these drones is for you to be aware of it, relentlessly be aware of it, and hopefully drive you to a point where you will do something that is a flagrant violation of law, and then they can get you locked up. Hopefully you'll die of suicide, that's what they'll say, while you're waiting for trial or something like that. But this is one of their main themes, and the reason that you see these drones. They'll keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and working the victim and driving the victim. They'll hit them financially. They'll hit their family. They're everything. And they'll keep stalking them, mobbing them, doing all this crazy stuff. And this is just one of their bait and switch. They have the same tactics on the highway with innocent civilians and children that they use for cover. I've documented it. I've documented it right here in Union County, Mississippi. The air show of the bait and switch. Let me tell you, folks, I'm not far from having some major piles of crap that I don't believe these boys are going to be able to swim out of. They're not going to be able to swim out of it. This is one of the reasons they don't want me at Union County. I've been around too long, and I've collected too much information, and they can't get me to shut up. And look, if I get shot down in federal court, I'm going to appeal it to the Fifth Circuit. I'm going to keep appealing it, file writ of certiorari to the Supreme Court, and repeat the process. I can't imagine that ever getting old with me. So every time I see the stalking, the noise harassment and all that, let me tell you what it does, folks. It reminds me, it keeps me on point of my mission. And I'm going to let you go with this. My mission is this. Number one is to always, always, always advocate for justice and equality for every American citizen, not just some. Two is always, always, always expose corruption in our government, corruption in law enforcement, corruption in 501(c)(3) nonprofits, corruption in private entities and contractors, and to expose those that systematically violate American citizens' civil and constitutional rights. So when I see those things, it does not instill anger or vengeance. It keeps me on point doing what I do. I can only do what I do by the support of those that support me, my viewers on Facebook, on YouTube, United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association, and the other social media platforms that I'm on. And it comes from victims that in most cases have little or no resources. But I'm going to tell you what, victims, little is much when God is in it. Don't you worry about, say, well, you know, this is nothing. I'll get another one here in view. That's right over the I get behind the trees on me. Little is much when God is in it. Don't you worry about that end of it. You just worry about being obedient and to invest your time and effort in places where change can be made. It has to start somewhere. Am I saying that I'm the only person doing what I'm doing? Folks, I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I still feel like the new kid on the block. When I came on the scene and figured out, I knew what had been going on for a long time. And we'll save that story and how long the time and what the agent's name, special agent, FBI agent, and the message that he gave me when I was 18 years old. I'm going to give you his name and the circumstances behind that. And it's a story that has never been told publicly. I don't think it's ever been told privately. But when I give the information, the person I'm talking about and the time, it can unequivocally be substantiated that this individual did meet with me several times. I was 17, going on 18, right in maybe 17. And what seemed to be bizarre circumstances, I didn't understand. I didn't really grasp what this individual was telling me. I grasp it now. What he was all those years ago, what I was being told. All things work together for the good. Let me tell you, God made that promise, and He absolutely is fulfills and delivers on it every single day. The drone, the bait and switch, folks, I can prove it. They messed up when they published and did a smear campaign on another victim. I can read between the lines. They work from a small playbook, folks. Small mind, small playbook. It took me a while. I said, what are they doing? It's bait and switch to try. They're constantly trying to invent a situation to catch a victim in a compromising situation and then arrest them. I don't know how many times I've been arrested in the last 12 months. Bogus charges. Bogus charges. I expose and name stalkers. Oh, they can't arrest me quick enough. Call me a stalker. This way I catch them on my property, get their tag number. They won't even take the charge. When they break into my house and they catch them in the process, I'll have Union County deputies tell me, well, they said you said they could be there. No charges, no charges. But the community policing stalking perverts can just don't even have to go down there, say my name. I was forced, they forced my hand to take them to task, because if I didn't, let me tell you folks, they're going to keep doing what they're doing, these unlawful arrests. And they've made enough of these unlawful arrests and unlawful convictions of planting evidence and setups gone wrong that I've documented. I've got enough material to work with for another 100 years and not run dry, folks. Not run dry. So that doesn't make me the citizen of the year. It should, with law-abiding, freedom-loving, Constitution standing, civil rights believing, God-fearing people. But folks, I didn't just describe this community policing program's characteristics, because what you're seeing and what they're doing are two different things. Two different things. There's two sides to every story. Two sides to every story. There's nothing innocent and nothing harmless about systematic crimes against humanity. There's nothing harmless about what these people do on a daily basis to absolutely torment someone. And people pose a question, well, have you ever figured out why it makes no difference? No more than I want to figure out why Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews. That's the wrong question. The question is, why would anybody want to systematically kill and torture other human beings because they don't agree with their point of view, their race, or anything else? Folks, let me tell you, that's evil. God is absolutely the opposite of what this system stands for. So, as long as I'm breathing, and even after I'm gone, I promise you, I am satisfied there are others that will pick up where I left off. I've made sure of that. I've made sure that I don't have all my eggs, I never will, in one basket. I never will. The fight continues, and I'm gonna continue to expose. So I just wanted to I can't even make a short video because I know they want me to shut up. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I'm not gonna shut up. I'm sure you do want me to shut up. I'm sure you want me to quit talking about the Stevens murder in Chickasaw County, Mississippi, with Childa and Fred Stevens. It's supposed to be a murder-suicide, but a week and a half before that, they were begging me, Childa Stevens was, to please get them an interview with the FBI. I couldn't believe the same thing that was happening to this elderly couple was happening to me. Oh, a week and a half later, it was a murder-suicide. I tried to call law enforcement before, state, federal, local, and after state, federal, local, give my story. I said what story they're telling, the story of the sheriff, and that crooked criminal coroner, that story is a damn lie. You need to talk to me. I was there, they know it. The man took pictures of me, and they're on his phone. I didn't tell them that. I had a perp come back a year later and ask me what my picture was doing on the dead man's phone. How in the hell would he know that? So anyway, what a slippery slope. Loose lips sink ships. They've had plenty of that happen. They want me to quit talking about that. That's not the only murder, folks. That's not the only murder. Or the only deputy sheriff that it's not a deputy sheriff anymore. His 14-year-old babysitter come up pregnant. I don't know what, but this man has yet to spend a day in jail. Business is thriving. When I tell you, right here in North Mississippi, that we had a problem with systematic child abuse, sex, and human trafficking, folks, you better wake up and smell the roses here, because you're neck deep in it. You're neck deep in it, and this silent blue wall of silence, they won't say anything, because the good cops, the good people in law enforcement, step forward. They may as well put their head in the guillotine, because that's what will happen. They're putting their lives and their families' lives at stake. I put my life at stake, but folks, let me tell you, I've already told you how I feel about death. That's God's call, not their call. Somebody's got to stand up and tell it, and not only just tell it, but be willing to take them to task and present it in a federal courtroom. I am doing exactly that, and I will continue to do that. Let me hear from you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, God bless you.